Hey there, folks. Welcome to another edition of Stranger in a Southern Land. I am your host, Jake Manning. I'm welcoming you back and welcoming back our sponsor, Birdsong Brewery. Birdsong Brewing Company brews flavorful, unfiltered craft beers in Charlotte, North Carolina. Birdsong beer is available in numerous locations in the Charlotte area. Birdsong Brewery provides a wide variety of seasonal and limited releases, as well as year-round favorites, such as Free Will Pale Ale and the Jalapeno Pale Ale. Birdsong also has a tap room open Tuesday through Sunday. Check out their weekly Thirsty Thursday small batch specials made available to the public. Feel free to visit them on the web at birdsongbrewing.com, or head on down to the tap room and tell them that Jake Manning sent you there. Once again, I just want to thank Birdsong Brewery for sponsoring this podcast so we can keep it going for you folks. And we got a doozy for you this time. I'm sure I've got a lot of listeners that are wrestling fans, because that's kind of what my base is made up right now. So this is going to be a treat for them. They're going to listen to Caleb Konley talk about his tour to China. That's pretty much the big requirement why he's here. I don't want to get too many of my wrestling friends on here, but I bring them on every once in a while when they do something really special. And Caleb's tour of China is definitely that. He got to wrestle in front of some people in China who had never seen pro wrestling before, even really knew what it was. So we're going to talk about that for the entire hour. This is just very interesting and unique and once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that Caleb was very lucky to have. But anyways, if you want to come out and meet me and Caleb, we're actually heading to the Northeast this weekend. On March 6th, we will be in Waterbury, Connecticut for Northeast Wrestling at Crosby High School. So please come out. That's going to be a really, really big show. I hear they're going to pull up both sides of the bleachers. So if you don't have your ticket for Northeast Wrestling and WrestleFest at Crosby High School, you might be left out on the cold. And of course, the next day we got the big event. If WrestleFest wasn't a big enough event as it was, we'll have the big event, and we'll be at LaGuardia Plaza Hotel, which is next to the LaGuardia Airport in New York City. So please come on out. I'll be probably working the high spots table. I might be pretty busy, but if I've got a second or two, you want to come up and say, hey, I enjoy the podcast, you want a picture, you want an autograph, please come up and say hi if I've got a spare second. But if I'm busy and I'm a little cross, I apologize ahead of time. But anyways, if you can't make it out to the Northeast this weekend, you can follow me on Twitter at @ManScoutManning, and I'll probably even talk about some of my adventures up in the Northeast with Caleb, because it's never a dull moment when we get together and we head to the Northeast. But anyways, enough talk on the front end. Let's jump right into Caleb Konley talking about his tour of China. We're already in it. You know, That's the podcast trick, is that I just start talking aimlessly. Just start talking, hit record, we'll put it in however, so we don't need a big...
Do you have a sweet song of the week?
I still got to buy it yet. Well, not a song of the week, but I need a little bumper, you know what I'm saying? Like something to go in before we come to me. I do a little introduction, plug the stuff I'm doing, which when this happens, it goes live. Well, who knows what I'm doing? So, who knows what I need to promote? I might need to promote that I'll be sitting at World of Beer on a Friday. So
you're gonna be at Fitzgerald's.
Yeah, maybe
watching stand up.
Well, it depends when those classes come in. That's really what it boils down to. So, but yeah, and don't mind me. I'll be fiddling around with everything because I got things going on. So
you gotta be the producer and the.
I have to be the producer.
On-screen
talent and everything like that. So.
Directing it, editing.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get your mic level.
Fucking with soundboard stuff.
There you go. I was trying to get a good level with you talking, but I just needed 2 sentences, so thank you for throwing that in.
Uno mas.
Yes, you're good. Yeah. Like I said, these are wonderful microphones.
These are.
These
aren't no half-ass high spots microphones.
Oh, no. These are top dollar Guitar Center microphones.
Okay.
So Radio Shack couldn't help me out.
No. That means you're going to have to start, doing live music now.
I don't know so much about that.
I'm not playing it, but you can film it, record it.
Yeah.
Do some videos.
Well, I don't know if I've got anything that high end. I mean, that audio board costs about as much as that microphone did, so only as good as that thing right on the floor. So, but anyways, enough about my adventures. You just got back from adventure.
Yeah, in November. Went to China for 2 weeks. It's pretty crazy.
Which let's back up for people, because I mean, this isn't like a regular. First of all, thank you for being on.
Yeah.
I don't plan on having too many wrestling people on here unless they have something interesting. And you going to China is something that is extremely interesting, because we've been around for a while, and how many China tours, Vietnamese casino tours, South Korean territories that are supposed to be opening up. Like, how many of those have you heard about over the
It
years?
seems like at least once a year, someone has a harebrained scheme of, hey, we're going to start wrestling somewhere where there's not wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9 times out of 10, it doesn't happen at all. That other 1 out of 10 times, it's the shits and shouldn't have happened.
And people got to get out of the country as fast as possible.
They're wearing death shrouds.
Yeah. Or the guys that are putting it together are guys that are canceling shows in, like, Williamsburg, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, actually, this China tour came about like 3 years ago and just now happened. So it was one of those 9 out of 10 that weren't going to happen.
the one that you just commit to because you know it's not going to happen.
Yes. I got an email like 3 years ago saying, hey, keep the date X to the date Y open. I can't tell you about it right now, but something cool might happen. And then those dates came and passed, and I said, hey, what were those dates? They're like, oh, well, we had this guy who said he might get us a tour of China, and it didn't happen, obviously, so go about your day. And I didn't think about it for pretty much ever. And then all of a sudden, I'm at one of the Evolve shows, like in September, and they said, hey, you hear about our November China tour, right? No one informed me of this. It sounds like bullshit already.
Because you hear the word China tour in wrestling, you just immediately, like, if you're a band, you might actually believe it a little bit more.
Bands go to China, I guess.
That happens.
Backstreet Boys or something does.
But wrestling doesn't.
No.
And when it is, it's usually a lie.
It's almost always a lie. WWE, the world's biggest wrestling company, has had 2 tours over there, and they were like 3 shows apiece or something, and it was a couple years ago, and they haven't been back. And obviously, like, if WWE decides they're going to stop running somewhere, there's probably a good reason for it.
No, exactly.
So September, they tell us we're going to have this China tour that no one believes. A couple weeks later, they ask for our visa information, all the good stuff, and then I send it off, and I still don't really believe it. And then about a week later, I have a plane ticket. So I'm like, wow. So even if for some reason this tour gets canceled, I'm still going to go to China for 2 weeks and just, mess around. I don't know.
Yeah, you at least
I've got a plane ticket there. I might as well use it.
Yeah, you don't have a hotel for sure, but you definitely have a plane ticket.
There's 1 billion people over there. There's a lot of them sleeping on the streets. I figure I could probably do that too.
Okay, so that's where you were at. You're like, I have a plane ticket. I'm definitely going to China.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
At that point, I was like, screw it, For lack of a better term, YOLO, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe we YOLO this one.
Well, you're young. You can say that.
I can,
Well, you're young, so you should be hip, so you shouldn't be saying YOLO, but you should be saying, yes, I'll throw
No,
caution
I'm
away.
almost 30 now. Now is the time for me to say YOLO because I've already screwed those.
See, now we can
away.
have adult conversations because you're 30 now.
I'm not 30. Don't say I'm 30. I'm getting close to 30.
You've got to do what I do, is you have to accept the fact that you're getting older. Like, I've been, like, how the treadmill asks you your age?
Yeah.
I've been typing in 33 for the last year.
Well, that's good because for about 2 years you couldn't remember how old you were.
That's neither here nor there. This podcast is about you, not about me. But no, I've accepted the fact that I'm going to be 33 here in March. So I just 32 is just inevitable because 33 was always the magic number for me. But anyways, digress. You have a plane ticket. You're
so I've
going
got a
to
plane
China.
ticket. It's really going to happen. I'm really going to go over there.
Because it was really fast that all this kind of developed.
Oh, absolutely. It's the tour is sponsored by CITIC Group, which is like a $8 billion investment company. It's like the biggest company in China. They basically run everything. Mm-hmm. And they said, we want this and we want it now. And shit, when you get that much money, boom, you do it. Mm-hmm. So
what does that company do? Like investment banking? Like
basically everything. CITIC is the company. It's like China Investment, whatever T stands for.
You'd be like Wells Fargo.
Yeah, something like that. But then they have like 44 subsidiaries. I know that because I just Wikipedia'd it because I figured I'd be talking about it a little bit.
Okay. All right.
So they've got CITIC Going, which is the CITIC Sports Group, and then they've got CITIC Banking, and they own when you're driving through Beijing, you see the CITIC logo everywhere. It's it's on everything. Mm-hmm. So they just throw money at stuff and make it happen. And so we're over there, and we really have no idea what we're getting into because, like we mentioned, there's been like 6 WWE wrestling shows over there. They stopped running. They don't have WWE TV. I mean, they have. They've got like half of their internet doesn't even work. Everything's edited and censored, so they don't have Facebook or Twitter or any of that crap. But they have like
the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club and Tori Wilson stripping online. They can't look up those YouTube videos.
Well, they don't have YouTube, but they have like
they don't even have YouTube.
No, they don't have YouTube.
So they can't even get the pirated stuff that's out there.
No, but they have like their own like little Chinese pirated stuff.
Oh, okay.
But everything is super far behind. Like the first show, like before we did the first show, we did like a press conference, and there were some fans there, and they were wearing like 2005 WWE shirts, and they were asking us about like, hey, how's Edge doing? Is he still the champion?
Edge, who has retired from a neck injury.
Yes,
for those people who don't follow the wrestling product.
So they're like super far behind in the wrestling knowledge. I mean, like the ones that know of wrestling.
Yeah. Besides
that, like wrestling is, I don't know, like cricket. Like I've never seen cricket, but I know it exists. Mm-hmm. Or I don't know, that Australian version of football that's really weird.
Or that really weird thing I saw. It's like handball, but it's kind of soccer.
It's one of those sports that exists, but you don't really ever see.
Yeah, that you see on like ESPN, like 3 or whatever, and you're like, what is this?
So wrestling is that over there.
Okay.
They know it exists. They don't really understand it or what it is. So we don't. Wrestling over here, you know what you're going to get into. Mm-hmm. You're going to wrestle in a high school gym, and there's going to be a bunch of kids, and they're going to scream. Or you're going to wrestle in a bar, and there's going to be a bunch of drunk assholes. Am I allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a bunch of drunken assholes, and then where you're going to go up north, and there's going to be a bunch of nerdy assholes. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of assholes in America.
Yeah.
So in China, you don't know what you're going to get.
You might get Chinese assholes.
Might get Chinese assholes. But like, everyone else, like a lot of the guys had wrestled in Japan, and there's the same colored people there. They're all yellow.
Easy there. I said you could curse, but not be racist. Okay,
it's true. They're all the same color.
Well, I mean, we're all one nation. We're all the same people. We're humanity is a color, my friend.
Humanity is a color, but you don't know what the humanity in China is like.
Okay.
So in Japan, they have a certain style, and Japan is also geographically close to China.
Well, that's the thing. It'd be like saying that, and Japanese wrestling is so huge.
Yes, it's giant over there.
It'd be basically like saying, I may be a little off on this, just because of the distance between Japan and China. I mean, it'd almost be similar to like people in San Francisco loving wrestling, but then people in Oakland not even knowing what wrestling is.
Pretty much.
Like just a body of water in between, like just across the bay, and people just, have no idea.
Like Beijing to Tokyo is a 45-minute flight, so
yeah,
that's that.
Okay, yeah.
So that's the distance between Beijing, where we were, and Tokyo,
the
center of fucking wrestling.
Where if you've been to Japan before, so you know how people are going to receive that, and you know how awesome that is, and I think most people have kind of figured out a little bit how awesome Japanese wrestling is. I mean, through. I want to hope that it's penetrated popular culture, but it is, because it's on like a TV now and stuff like that over here in the States. But like it's a big deal. But in China,
they don't. It's nothing. So everyone's kind of going in hoping that there's a Japanese feel to it. They brought the Colony, which is a mask tag team, and they thought they were going to be huge fan favorites because in Japan, masked people like Jushin Liger and things like that are huge.
Yeah, well, also too, it's in the States and it's colorful and it has that aerobatic feel to it, and
yes.
Even Mil Mascaras from famous luchador from Mexico comes over the States and causes sensation, even not being technically the best wrestler in the world, but he could travel across the world. So mask guys, yes,
mask guys are huge.
Yes,
not so much in China. Like a lot, they just didn't understand it.
Everywhere else, but China,
they just I don't know. I don't know if it's you couldn't see the eyes or they just didn't understand why they had horns coming out of their head. I think they were thinking it was going to be more MMA. Like all the rest of the guys look like wrestlers. Like the dude that's in the dead center here with the giant traps.
Yeah.
That's,
Looks like a younger version of me. You know?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
It's Tim Thatcher, and he legitimately looks like he could kill you at any moment in that picture.
Yeah, because
that's
that's
why
the advertisement that you guys put out.
he's
so.
in the forefront.
Yeah.
And everyone else is pretty good shape, and then there's the mask guy, and we thought that would be pretty over, but we were wrong, as it turns out.
Okay.
So we're the first night back to China. First night, we are probably in it's got to be the Chinese equivalent to the Shining Hotel.
Okay. That sounds awesome.
It's amazing. We get there, and this banner is like blown up a million times. Where it's just giant billboards. Once you get to this hotel, we're in this place called Epoch City, which is not a real city, as it turned out. It is a It's a man-made city by CITIC.
So it's like that city in The Simpsons where everybody moved to. You remember that episode?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
so
where
it probably is that. Yes.
Yeah, he was like the crazy, like he hired Homer to work at his power plant, but turns out he was like a spy's arch nemesis and stuff like that.
Yes, very very much like that.
Yeah,
it's a city that it was supposed to be a tourist attraction. That is everything is made to look like ancient China.
Okay.
So there's like all these apartment buildings, but they're all like in the architectural feel of a miniaturized Great Wall, and everything's really old school looking, and it looks like Turtles 3 back in time, or whatever the third Turtles was. It's very. I think that was supposed to be in Japan, but it looked like that.
Okay. All right. Like I said, it could be. Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
It looked like that. The hotel is super nice. It's like the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in. Real weird though. There's nobody else in there. It's like us and the people that work there.
And some innkeeper who kept throwing a tennis ball up against the wall, trying to write a novel. You know.
There was like a dude who was basically a zombie. It was like in the middle of the night. He would just stand out in the lobby to make sure that, I guess, other people weren't coming in. But there were no other guests. It was us.
He was a lobby boy.
He's a lobby boy, but like. Do you really need him there at 4:00 in the morning
Yeah,
when it's just some wrestlers hanging out?
Mm-hmm.
So he was just like nodding off, coming back, nodding off, and just acting real weird. Anyways, so we're in this super nice hotel that has nobody in it. And it's kind of creepy. But then just down like walking distance within the same complex is where we're wrestling. And it's amazing. There's the whole ceiling is lit up with all these cool like displays and lights, and it's like one of the nicest places I've ever wrestled. And we get there, and it's basically nicer than anything any of the other guys I've ever wrestled in front of. Mm-hmm. But we don't like. This is great. We've got.
So it'd be like a large arena over here. It'd be like.
It wasn't an arena. Do you remember like seeing the like WrestleMania 4 and 5 at like the Trump Plaza?
Yeah.
And they had the ceiling was all super nice and
Yeah.
lit up, and like everything was extravagant. It was like that, except for like a miniaturized version.
Okay.
Like a 3,000 seat kind of place.
Well, Trump Plaza wasn't all that big, but I mean.
They made it look huge on TV.
Yeah, they made it look huge on TV.
I'm sure this looked huge on TV too, but it wasn't that big. But it was still.
Yeah, it wasn't as big as Trump Plaza, but I get your feel.
We're looking around, and like, man, this is way too nice for us. We're used to little, we evolved. The company is wrestling every other month in a basement in Brooklyn, New York. Mm-hmm. It's basically like Fight Club, and now here we are in this super nice place. Mm-hmm. And it's about the show's supposed to start at like 7, and it's like 6:45, and there's 50 people there, and everyone's freaking out. Like, oh man, this is gonna suck. This is what China's like.
Because I mean, like I said, the one thing I said to you going over there that's interesting is like, I mean, it was communist China. That was always a joke I made. And you don't know what type of income these people have. You don't know, like, what tickets are going to be like. You don't know if they're going to let everybody in for free or they got discounted tickets. Because I mean, everything we know about China is the economy. Well, the economy is one of the largest growing economy, but there's a large sense of poverty, but then there's a sense of rich, or like you don't know what the middle class is over there. And also, too, you hear the stories of people going on Nigeria tours where you have all these big political heads that bring over wrestling, and you wrestle in these large arenas in front of 50 people.
Yeah, and it's just like a general of the army sitting there like
yeah, and he
clapping.
just wants entertaining, and since he can run the country, he's like, I'll just put it in the biggest building possible.
Yeah.
And then wrestle for me, and you've heard about that on international tours. So, I mean, that's the thing is you don't know.
I still don't know like what the normal Chinese people are like. We were so like away from normal people. Like we did a little bit of walking around in the streets, but really it was okay. I've gone into a Chinese 7-Eleven and given money to a clerk, and we went out to a bar, and there were people hanging out, being normal like they would in America. But besides that, like I don't know. I stayed in 5-star hotels. Like I was in like a magical wonder China that doesn't exist to normal people.
That's the thing is like you don't know like if the life you're living that 80% of that country's even lived.
Yeah. No clue. Probably not.
Yeah.
Like driving to Epoch City.
Or maybe even 99%. Maybe you were living like the 1% in China. So.
It's true. It's got to be the 1% somewhere because it's definitely not here.
So, anyways, 50 people are in the building.
Yeah, there's 50 people. And like Gabe Spolsky, the booker, the guy who basically runs the show, he's real, I don't know what the word for, upset, I guess.
He's emotional.
He's emotional, real emotional at this point.
Actually, here's a better one. Passionate.
Passionate.
That's something that I've learned to use about myself as opposed to moody or anything. Passionate is a good one.
See, I think emotional is probably the better one because he wasn't angry. It wasn't loud. He was just kind of in a chair, just kind of like rocking.
Cares so much that it physically affects you.
It definitely was affecting him.
Yes.
You could tell.
Yes, I know that feeling.
And everyone's just kind of peeping through the curtain every once in a while going, is it going to pick up? Is it going to pick up? And we just kind of started to suck it up and said, screw it. We've wrestled in front of less people. We just didn't have to fly, 8,000 miles or whatever it is to China.
But you're still in China.
That's right. We're still in China. We're going to make the best of it.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
All of a sudden, the lights go down. The show's about to start. They have like the introductions. And then all of a sudden, like everyone goes out and starts to watch the first match, and you look around, and all of a sudden, somehow it's filled out.
How'd that happen?
I don't know.
Did everybody just like, okay, we're going to completely ignore what's going on in the arena? And
I guess in China, you don't show up to anywhere early. You just get there as soon as it's about to start.
Because everything probably starts on time. Everything is supposed to.
Probably.
So why show up any earlier or late? And our seats are already available. They have a lot. They have a lot of faith.
That makes a lot of sense. Like I mean, if you're in a communist place, chances are it's run pretty strictly.
Yeah.
If something starts at 7:30, I'm gonna get there at 7:30.
Yeah, I'm not gonna miss anything. And I don't need to get there early to make sure I get my seats because nobody's seen my seats.
Yeah,
they're gonna sit
because they will get murdered.
Exactly. You better not sit in section A, seat 3, because you're in seat 7. Don't do that.
Don't do it. They will kill you.
They'll
chop off your head.
Exactly.
So show starts. The place is it's a probably 3,000 seat place, and there's probably close to 2,000 people there. Looks real nice, pretty awesome. Then it turns out that this was a like showcase show for the CITIC employees because this is like the CITIC city.
So this is like their entertainment.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we hear about the Butlins tours.
Yeah.
A little bit, like where they wrestle at these campgrounds that people vacation at.
Yeah, something like that is like I guess a way to give back to your employees. So this is what that was, and it was kind of weird because not only did these people not pay to see wrestling, not only did Chinese people not know what wrestling is really, but the rest of the tour, people at least paid a ticket to find out what it was.
It was almost like they were mandatory there for leisure.
Yes,
and it's like I always say this too is you when people buy a wrestling ticket, they have an emotional connection to it. If you just give them a ticket, they could care less.
exactly.
So it's a situation they don't have an emotional connection. They have no horse in that race. So
They're there because they kind of have to be.
yeah, because it's like, if they don't go, then the boss can be like, we gave you this wrestling show, you didn't show up. What do you mean?
So we're there. Show starting. Once you've been around wrestling for a while, you kind of figure out how people are going to react to certain things. And
because that's the thing too, because when you wrestle in a basement in Brooklyn, they expect, a little bit more jaded, and then you and I have wrestled in front of like 2,000 people, which is mostly kids and families. So you got to adjust your style and dumb it down, and there's things you can do as a wrestler. And I think a lot of people, common people don't, like regular fans and regular people don't realize that about wrestlers, that you have to adjust your style that way. And I think a lot of wrestlers don't even realize that either.
A lot of wrestlers. I think more common people would understand that than wrestlers.
Yeah,
they get inside their own heads.
That's an easy concept to understand. Is to, Andrew Dice Clay is going to do a different show for the stadium show as opposed to his open mic on like a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
we go out. The first match goes out there. They do things. They think they're going to get reactions. Turns out they don't. It's real weird. Everyone's kind of like in a scramble in the back trying to figure out like what do we do to change this around?
Yeah.
Because this is first time wrestling in front of Chinese people. We have no idea what we're supposed to do.
Because it's a different culture. You don't know what they see in their entertainment. And like I said, you don't know what to expect.
No. It's all up in the air. It's all trial and error at this point. Turns out, like the cool stuff, the flippy stuff that people love in America, they don't care about it over there. Mm-hmm. They like to see like martial arts style stuff. They like to see amateur style stuff. It's more of a realistic approach to it.
Well, and I think that too. Like I think somebody was talking about like Japanese wrestling with it. If you could relate it to the reason it got big is because judo was like the national sport before like pro wrestling came along, and that's what people could relate to. Like in pro wrestling in America, it's been pushed so far and brought back and then pushed so far.
Yeah.
Where you're starting from a very basic element, you're looking at development of a wrestling fan. You're starting at the very basic point.
Yeah.
So really what you have to do is you'd have to look back into the era of like the 1920s, 1930s, George Hackenschmidt, like that was an introduction to pro wrestling, and it says wrestling on the marquee, so you have to present that product. So I think that's one way to look at it.
No, that's absolutely the way we look. That was the way we looked at it. It was like, look, man, we've basically had 100 years of evolution in wrestling in America.
Yeah, you can't just throw in Rey Mysterio right away.
Yeah.
You got to start with some Luthez, like I said, Whipper Billy Watson.
I don't know if we went back that far, but we definitely we had to rewind wrestling history a while back and get it kind of back to the basics. And once we did that, it's pretty fun, pretty good. Mm-hmm. There was an English-based newspaper there covering it, and he said everyone seemed to like it, and there were thousands of people there, and that was just night one. Mm-hmm. So like we're pretty happy about ourselves, and then it turned out, man, like there was 4 shows, and every night it got bigger and bigger. The second show was at a women's basketball arena, which was also owned by Citic.
Okay.
That was probably double the amount, and this was all wrestling fans who had paid like hundreds of dollars to buy. Like
that's an emotional investment right there.
Yeah. If you're gonna spend $100 on something,
you're gonna damn sure enjoy it.
And that's in America. I don't know I don't even know what that translates to.
Yeah,
like Chinese.
like 50,000.
Is that half of your week's payment? Is that like a day? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
So it's expensive. I know it's got to be.
Yeah.
So second
that's
night,
expensive here. I'd imagine it's expensive in China.
So the second night there's like double. The third night there's like double of that. And then the last night we're in the MasterCard Center where the Olympics were held in Beijing.
Okay.
Which is it's pretty crazy. Like if you think about it, we're gonna wrestle in the same place that the basketball and all like the indoor stuff of the Olympics was held. Mm-hmm. Just a few years earlier. What was that, 2008, I think it was?
It was something like that. Which, I mean, it was good that they got that use out of it, because I saw something online that they don't use those facilities that much anymore.
Oh yeah. They have a tour. They have a tour around Beijing where all the Olympic stuff was, and like the big one, like the outdoor, the track and all that was like they called it like the bird nest or whatever. It was real weird and weavy.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it online.
Yeah, like a lot of that it's basically being run down now.
Did you go to some of that stuff?
We tried.
Oh, I would have loved
The tour was closed. Like we hung out. I got pictures like a mile away from it. We weren't ever allowed to get close to it for whatever.
See, that's what fascinates me is like these towns these cities, I should say, that get the Olympics, and then the facilities, because like my uncle was in a couple of Olympics, so that just that sense of like the city puts all this money into these facilities, and then some people use them for other stuff, and then other people they just sit there and rot, and just I don't know. I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah, like Atlanta, like the Braves Stadium was the Olympic Stadium, and it was twice the size, and then they like demolished half of it and then rebuilt it into like a baseball stadium.
Yeah, and then you got Olympic Park that people use it for, and then Montreal's got that stadium and stuff like that, but then you got other parts of the world that just like
China just left it.
Yeah, like there's places that just have the luge that's just sitting there in the middle of nowhere.
That big bird's nest is just hanging out.
Yeah,
just not. I don't know what they do there. I imagine it's used at some points, but.
All right, so you had the first show, and then you said you went to all these other shows. Now, what type of travel means, like time? Like, would you all just get in a bus, or how'd that all work?
Okay, so we flew into Beijing. The first show in Grand Epoch City was like an hour bus ride from Beijing. Mm-hmm. We stayed in the hotel there. From there,
you're all in your fancy tracksuits.
All in our fancy tracksuits. I should have worn it today. This is the shirt from it. Yeah. And then there's a tracksuit that goes over top of it. I'm actually wearing the pants too, just not the jacket.
Just not the jacket.
From there, we fly. We drive back to Beijing. Fly to the other side of the country. Beijing is like northeast, like New York area.
Okay.
Chengdu is Dallas, Texas.
Oh wow. You drove?
No, flew.
Flew. Okay.
We drove back to Beijing from Epoch City, then fly to Chengdu, which probably maybe like Arizona, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's southwest.
Yeah.
More southwest. Chengdu is in there is a spice that you eat in Asian food.
Okay.
It's Szechuan.
Okay.
Szechuan sauce.
Yes.
It's in the province of Szechuan. So that's where all the Szechuan food comes from.
That's amazing. Ah.
It was.
That's got to be.
The food there, they were like, if you leave Szechuan, they say they have good Szechuan other places. Uh-huh. That's Szechuan's bullshit. If you want real Szechuan, you come to Szechuan.
Oh, so you go there, and I'm sure like when you're there, it's got like Chicago. Like no, you need to get this deep dish. No, you went to that place. Oh, you got the worst deep dish there is.
Yeah. So we're going and we're eating all this food, and it's spicy and probably not the best thing you should be eating right before you wrestle.
Mm-hmm. But you have to.
But yeah,
you have to. You're in the place.
So. While we're in Szechuan, actually, this is all China, but you're in America and you go to a Chinese buffet, and first off, I'm thinking buffet is an American thing because Americans are gluttonous and we have no concept of just eating the normal amount of food,
as much food as possible.
Turns out it's Chinese custom. Like they do have buffets, I think. Mm-hmm. Like the hotels we were staying at, they were buffets, but just like restaurants, you sit at a giant table and they have like these little spinny deals. I don't know what that's called.
Lazy Susan.
Is that a Lazy Susan?
Yeah, it's the thing that's
in the middle of the table. Okay, so they have a Lazy Susan in the middle of the table, and they just keep bringing you big ass bowls and dishes of just different food, and everyone's like spinning around and picking off what they want, and then just spinning around, and they just keep bringing it, and this is everywhere.
Yeah. And it's kind of like buffets. It is an American thing, but it's like a style of eating. Like we put food over here. What you were probably doing was family style, in the sense that they bring it to the table and you pull off from the table.
It's family style, but that's everywhere in China. In China, It's a custom, which seems really weird to me, but who am I? I'm not Chinese. I'm not gonna tell you your customs are weird. A lot of customs are weird, but it is deemed like unacceptable to eat all your food. So they give you they explained it. They go, there's a lot of poverty in China. So when you go to someone's house and they feed you, they want to make sure you have enough. So they bring like an extreme amount, so there's no possible way you can eat it. So that's why they give you all this food, is so there's stuff left over, because it shows that you were a gracious host and you tried to feed someone
Hold
to the
on
max
a minute
capacity.
Here. Let's address the elephant that's in my mind right now. You remember as a kid when you were trying to eat something and you didn't want to finish what was on your plate, and your parents would say, "There's hungry kids in China."
Yeah, exactly.
So what you're saying is our parents were full of shit the whole time.
Full of shit.
When they said there are hungry kids in China, no, they've got more than enough food.
Well, there are hungry kids in China. That's the thing.
There are,
but they're weird socially, and they think that
they hang on to the food. Like I gave you so much food, haha, you couldn't eat it. I win the game.
I don't think it's so much a game. It's just like you're supposed to. You're like, I don't know.
You want to show, instead of buying fancy cars, it's I've provided more food for you than you could possibly handle.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Like that's a way of being like a nice person.
Yeah, nice person, and show that you're probably well off.
Yeah, but every meal, there's just tons and tons of food left over, and I'm just.
Do you think that the Chinese parents, when they serve people like that they tell their kids, listen, there's hungry kids down the street?
They should. They should.
Because, I don't know. That's what I took away from that.
Our biggest thing was, what do they do with all this excess food? Is it like in America, you just throw it away and then start over? Yeah. Or do they recycle it? Do you just say...
Or put it in Tupperware and use it for
stir it around and then give it to the next person who comes?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's nuts to me. Also nuts to me is they just serve everything. Everything.
You mean everything?
Unless it's a panda, they basically eat it.
Okay.
They don't eat pandas because they love pandas.
Who wouldn't love a panda?
Me. I don't love them.
You're the only one, because I saw you the pictures of everybody seeing a panda and everybody freaking out about it.
Okay, they're cute.
Okay.
But we'll get that in a minute. Don't rush my story here, Jake.
Okay, all right. We'll get to the pandas in a minute. All right.
Okay, so forgot where I was at.
Bunch of food.
Food. Okay, so they tell us, like, when we get to Szechuan, and they're telling us about the famous Szechuan food and spices, and someone asked, like, we hear you guys eat dogs and stuff.
Somebody said that.
Well, we had, like, a tour guide, and he was, like, actually, the tour guide said it. He goes, I know Americans come over here, and they think that we eat dogs and cats. And,
okay, so he said it. It wasn't somebody being racist, like, I hear you guys eat dogs and cats.
Yes.
Okay.
He mentioned the elephant in the room, the dead dog in the room.
Yes.
And he goes, well, it's true. We do.
All your stereotypes about us, yes, are true.
We eat dog. We eat cat. We eat rat. We eat everything but panda, pretty much is what he said. And we eat every part. So I don't think I was fed any dog or cat or rat. There were lots of pig faces, lots of, there was some kind of a soup. It was some kind of a chicken noodle soup. But in America, that's just chicken breasts sprinkled into soup.
Yeah.
This, you pull out the ladle, and then there's a giant chicken beak right there. And Evilise, one of the wrestlers on the tour, almost threw up at the table when she pulled out the chicken beak.
Okay.
Lots of fish heads, some of the food was really good. Some was a little past my taste.
Okay.
Couldn't really do it.
But you still tried.
Still tried.
Because you're in China. You got to try.
Tried everything. Tried every weird thing. There was a lot of weird stuff. So, pandas. Talking about racists. These Chinese people hate Japanese people.
Okay. Probably because they all get confused and, it's being a white male from the Midwest, it's very hard to tell the difference between someone who's Vietnamese, Korean, Chinese, Japanese. I can see how if you came in with those such stereotypes, they'd be probably pretty upset about it, and I completely understand that.
speaking of that, coming from a nice Midwestern Chinatown, you can't tell the difference in another China person or if they're Japanese or Korean, because Mia Yim, who is Korean, and then Soo Young, who is half Cambodian, everyone thought Mia was Japanese and they thought that Sue was Chinese.
Oh.
And like they were asking Sue what part of the country she was from, and she's like, "Well, actually, I'm from America, but my mom is Cambodian." And then all of a sudden they're like, "Ugh."
Let's get out of this situation.
They didn't know.
Yeah.
So I understand. So it's not just us; it's everyone.
It's
can't tell the
everyone. Yeah.
difference.
Exactly.
So, pandas.
Okay.
Pandas they're cute and they're furry.
Yeah.
And possibly inbred. All of them.
Okay.
All of them. So I did a lot of panda education over there. There's only like 800 pandas left in the world.
Yeah.
Pandas.
So you have to inbreed to keep it going.
Basically, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And they talk about pandas being lazy, and they just kind of sit there and eat the leaves all day.
Yeah, the eucalyptus. You know, 'cause that's like their heroin, right?
That's koalas.
It's koalas.
That's koalas.
I stand corrected.
Different bear. Not
bear.
even a bear.
Stand corrected.
The pandas eat a lot of bamboo.
Okay.
There was a reason for that. I can't really remember.
Okay. That's where I'm getting them confused.
But they just hang out and eat bamboo, and they're lazy as crap, and they barely move. And that's because, pretty sure it's because they're inbred. Because it turns out pandas are one of the oldest animals.
Okay.
They're like, not dinosaur old, but they're not like a new breed. They've been around forever. They've always been in China. But back in the day, way back, they were like normal bears. They were like big black bears who would eat you.
Okay.
They would eat other animals. They would kill you.
So it's probably good they're inbred now.
They
and slow
were
and
predators.
lazy. Okay.
But how does an animal go from being a massive predator who will kill you in an instant to save his own life and make sure his cubs get fed, to just sitting on a tree all day eating bamboo? Because they're inbred. Because they can't think anymore. They just sit there and eat bamboo and just lay on their back, and they've
been dumbed down. It's the multiplicity.
Exactly.
Copy of a copy of a copy.
Exactly. They can't do anything. They can't even have sex. They have panda porn.
Huh? But please explain.
We went to the panda reserve where there's like 200 pandas. 200 out of the 800 pandas left in the world are there, something like that. They had us watch this video about how they have to show videos of other pandas having sex to get the pandas in the mood to have sex.
Okay.
The whole existence of the panda is based upon the panda porn industry. Real weird.
I guess.
Mind-boggling.
I did not see that subgroup on Tube Galore. I'll tell you that much.
No. But you have to wonder.
Yeah.
Porn in the 80s, very much like the wrestling, it's evolved into something much deeper,
so
much
like
crazier.
Pandas that are like shaved now, and were before
hey, man,
full bush?
maybe not yet, but just think of where it's going to go in the next 30 years when they have panda gangbangs, interracial pandas.
How about I don't think about it? How about you think about it? You tell me about it for 30 seconds, and then I'll forget that information.
Well, I'm going to tell you about it. See, there's also the red panda, which is not a panda at all.
Okay.
The red panda is a freaking raccoon.
Okay.
It's cute as shit. And I think it doesn't need panda porn to have panda sex. But I don't know. Why is it a panda? Can you answer this, Jake?
Hey, I was the one that confused pandas with koalas a little bit earlier. You don't want to deal with me. I'm no Jack Hanna, I'll tell you that much.
Will someone tell me why the red panda and the normal panda are both pandas, but they're not? I don't get it.
Oh, well. Who knows? So, saw panda. Saw panda
pandas.
porn.
Saw panda porn.
What else did you do in China?
We drink a lot of real bad beer. And I don't drink beer, so that's real weird for me.
Yeah. What's the alcohol situation there?
The alcohol situation is this. They have beer that it's like 3%.
Yeah.
It's not a good beer at all. They have a lot of it.
Yeah.
and it seems pretty cheap.
I mean, Miller Lite's like 4%. I think it's 3 or 4%. It hovers around that area. It depends on what part of the state you're in, but I think it's usually like your domestic beer is about 4 here.
So they've got that. They've got beer. And then they have like imported American beers. And when you go to a bar there, like if you want to be fancy, you drink a Budweiser, which is kind of funny to us. It's
Yeah,
like
well, for them that'd be like like when you see people drink Heineken. Over
exactly.
there.
That's what I said to people. I was like, this is like with them drinking Heineken.
Yeah.
This is like them. It's like when you think you're cool and you go to like a Japanese place and you order like
A
a
Sapporo.
cool, yeah, a Sapporo.
Yeah.
No. You drink a Budweiser because that's what you're cool.
Yeah.
One cool thing about it, like I guess it's like the food where you give people more food that they can possibly handle. Like we're hanging out in the bar, just being white dudes in a bar full of Chinese people, and like people would come up to us and give us drinks, which scared the crap out of us at first. We're like, there's no way we're drinking this.
Yeah.
But then we saw them doing it to other people. Like people were just going, hey, would you like one of our beers? Sure. And they were drinking it. So I was like, whatever, try it. So that was pretty cool. People were real nice, just giving us stuff. That's another thing. You think like communist China, I think of like massive marches and people doing Nazi signs. Like I know that's not.
Yeah,
it's a different place.
The guy standing in the street.
But when you think of communism, you think of like all these militant people and like shotguns, or not shotguns, but like M16s and real police state type stuff.
Yeah.
You never really saw any cops. People are just hanging out, acting cool and nice, and no one's really bothering anybody. I don't even, like, as far as I could tell, there's not even, like, a drinking age there. Like, I'm pretty sure.
So there's the potential of being lawlessness. The potential of being, of lawlessness.
Yeah. But everyone's just hanging out being cool. A lot of crazy drivers. Okay. Never saw any wrecks, though. Like, no one, like, it seemed like, I don't know, maybe it's the years of being oppressed and everything have just made everyone, like, stand in line like a trained dog kind of a deal. But everyone was just hanging out, not messing with anybody. Real weird to me, because
you basically get harassed just going to New Jersey.
Yeah, you go to New Jersey, you go into Manhattan or something, and there's people fighting for no reason,
or just a CVS in Voorhees, New Jersey. It's a fiasco.
No, none of that's going on. Everyone's just being cool to each other. Just pretty nice. Yeah. Pretty nice.
People being cool to get each other is pretty nice, isn't it?
It's just it's weird that is weird to me. Yeah. It should be normal, right? It should be normal that people are cool to each other and not trying to start fights and
just doing their thing.
Talking
Let everybody
shit.
do it, Just giving you more food than what you need,
Yeah. Hanging out, telling us about panda porn, giving us real spicy food, a lot of chicken heads. So bars are cool there.
Okay.
Walking around, I see. Maybe it's different because they obviously knew I'm not Chinese and they wanted to be hospitable.
Yeah.
But everywhere you walked, everyone was like super nice and they'd come up to you and wave to you and try to speak a little English, which their English is far better than my Chinese, so I appreciate that.
And there's all these posters and banners sprinkled your face on it. So.
Yeah, every town had, you drive in on the bus and all of a sudden there's my stupid face hanging out. Mm-hmm. So don't get that here.
No. You're Vince Neil over there.
I'm somebody. I don't know. I think they liked I had weird hair and they liked that. I'm like a anime character.
Okay. Well, also too, you went to the Great Wall. Saw those pictures.
Did go to the Great Wall.
Yeah.
Great Wall is freaking massive. Like, it's massive when you see it on TV, and then you can see it from space, but it's hard to comprehend.
Yeah.
Like, you're walking up a mountain, and you're walking on this thing, and then all of a sudden, you look as far as you can possibly see, and it's still going on over there. I think I want to say it's 4,000 miles, or at one point it was, which is going the entire distance of America. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they built that thousands of years ago.
Yeah, well, they don't call it the Great Wall for nothing.
See, I was expecting an okay wall.
You got the Great Wall.
I got a great wall.
You got a great wall.
I got a great wall. Got lost at the Great Wall.
Okay.
Got lost at the Great Wall. See, it's it's a tourist attraction. It's almost like a little amusement park.
Yeah.
You walk up and you're walking through the Great Wall and people are taking pictures, and then all of a sudden like you get to this one spot in like high up in the mountain, and they have like these little slide car deals
Mm-hmm.
that you can go down. And I was watching Idiot Abroad and I saw this,
Yes.
and I said, "Hey, I saw this on TV. I got to do it now."
Absolutely.
And it was me and one of the people in charge and like one other dude. So we did the slide car deal, and we go down the mountain. And I thought you did the slide car, go down the mountain. Now I'm back at where I started at.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be, like, the group's supposed to be back together in, like, an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been walking for 30, 45 minutes. And, like, you think the Great Wall is not just, like, straight line. Like, some of it is super high up a hill. And it's quite the workout.
Yeah.
Real good on your glutes.
I bet.
So finally, we've been walking forever. We're kind of getting tired. We go to the bottom of this slide car track. I'm like, all right, we're back at the start. I'm going to go buy a little plush panda and call this a day. But it turns out I was not. I was on the other side of the mountain.
So
I am on the other side of the mountain. There's all these vendors there, but like it takes me a while. It takes us, the three of us, a while to figure out that we're not where we're supposed to be.
yeah.
We just think that this is where we started at.
Oh, my day's over.
Yeah.
No. Now you have to go back over the mountain.
So we're trying to figure out the place where we started, but no one's speaking English. Like no one, like we can't. I don't know where we started, so I can't tell them, hey, how do I get back here? Because I don't know where here is. And we're walking for a while, and we're obviously distressed. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's a universal thing, because a taxi driver came over to us and was like trying to tell us, hey, you're lost, aren't you? But he couldn't say that, so he's
The
saying
international language of I'm lost, I'm distressed, and I don't know what I'm doing.
yes.
Yeah.
So he's trying to he's pointing on a map, and we're kind of getting the idea that he's telling us, hey, you're supposed to be over here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, okay. And then it turns out when you go to speak money talk, all of a sudden he can translate that pretty quickly to us. Mm-hmm. So I think he ends up like burning us for like $30 or something, which was way more than I spent on anything.
Yeah.
This one taxi ride, but we had to take a taxi and drive like miles upon miles around this other way to go through a tunnel to get back to the other side of the mountain.
So you'll gladly pay it.
Gladly had to pay it, otherwise
Yeah.
I might still be in China now. Who knows?
Yeah.
So get back with the group finally.
But he got you where you needed to be.
Got me where I needed to be, but I was like half an hour late, and everyone's waiting around on us.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna be in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get kicked off this tour and never come back. And then I realized, hey, I'm with the boss. Doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. So that's that. Yeah. So you were smart like that. Like just
I got lost with the person that I can get lost
that
with.
was in charge. That was in charge of everybody.
Yes. So if I get
Which
lost
is a
with
wonderful trick that I think you and I have picked up on. If
Absolutely.
if we just hang around the boss, nothing can go wrong.
So really, they were lost. I was where I was supposed to be.
Exactly.
The rest of the group they were just early.
Yeah, that's why I always take the leadership role, so that way, like, I can do what I want. You guys got to wait for me. So.
Yeah. They might have left me there. Who knows? But
Yeah. But you can't because you got the boss.
speaking of getting left, between after this, okay, we're in Beijing first. We fly over to Chengdu and Sichuan and that stuff, and we're there for the two shows.
Yeah.
And then after that, we fly back to Beijing for the fourth show, which is it's in Beijing at the MasterCard Center. That's the final one, the big one.
Yeah.
So the night after the third show, everyone's hanging out in the hotel bar, having a good time. There was like 4,000 people at that show. Everything went awesome. That was my favorite night. Hanging out, got drunk, but it wasn't crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But my phone died, and I couldn't find my power converter because their charger things are different than mine.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I couldn't find it in my bag. So my phone died, and I was screwed. But I had a roommate, and I figured I would wake up, or he would wake me up, and when we're supposed to go, we'd eat breakfast, and we'd head out.
Mm-hmm.
I wake up ninja style, just whoof. And I look over, and my roommate, A.R. Fox, is nowhere to be found. And I'm looking at their clock, and it is 5 minutes until I'm supposed to leave to catch the bus to go back to Beijing. And this isn't, like, most of the hotels we were at was the normal hotel, like go up 10 floors,
Yeah.
you take the elevator down, and you're in the lobby. This one was not like that. This was like a bunch of huts. Like there was a centralized lobby, and then not a hut. Like these were 5-star hotels, but
Yeah.
they were often different. What do you call them? Like a bungalow, I guess.
Yeah, bungalow would be the word I was searching for.
Okay, so it's lobby area, and then there's like big bungalows with sets of rooms, but it's often like this whole like nature thing. Like the center of it is all this really nice, cool atmosphere and terrain and other words. But I'm like a quarter mile down the road from the lobby,
Yeah.
and I wake up and I'm like, shit, this is real bad.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna get left. And like I put on my jacket, but my jacket's on backwards, and I haven't in my hair or anything. And I'm just like, I've got my roll bag in my hands, and I'm running like a fucking
Like you're packing it as you're running.
I'm running like I'm carrying a football, and I'm just running down. And I see the bus there, and I see people getting on it, and everyone is like, they obviously know that I'm freaking out and that I'm late. And they said that
The international language of distress.
yeah, but these are all American. These are all my people that I'm with. And Fox is just like, oh man, I thought you were like. I woke up before him every other day. He just thought, I'd wake up and everything would be
Caleb
cool.
Konley, responsible individual. He gets up, no problem. Why do I need to worry about waking him up?
He was like, man,
he
I
might
don't
get
know.
mad if I wake him up.
I just thought you were gonna get up. I didn't know. Sorry, man. And then like when they realized I was late, they had one of the other guys who's kind of in charge. Not really in charge, but this guy named Trevin Adams. I shouldn't put him over on this, but I am.
Okay.
He was in charge. He was supposed to come back and knock on my door and wake me up. And I guess he knocked on the door and I didn't come. And instead of like trying to do something about
Pound
it,
a little louder.
he just left. So I'm like, I get to the bus right before it's going to roll out, and no one was going to stop. Like, no one was going to do anything about getting me off.
They just said, worry, just going to leave you there.
I think a couple other people had similar situations, but people were nice enough to like knock on the door until they woke up, or make sure something happened.
Yeah, not you.
Not me, man.
You must be not high enough on the totem pole. We're pretty familiar with that feeling.
Just fucking left me there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. I live in Szechuan now.
Yeah. I got all these spices.
I got all these spices. I'll cook some real good food.
Exactly. Well, I think we're getting close to the end of our time here, because if I go over my time, I have to pay my producer extra. So
You are the producer.
Well, no, the other producer.
Oh, okay.
I got people.
Okay, you got people.
I have people. I have people that I work for me.
It's about time you have people, Jake.
I know. I need people bad.
You usually are the people.
Yeah, I'm usually am the people, but also too, it's nice that I'm accepting people in my life.
Yes.
That's a big thing.
Because if you ask Jake Manning if he needs help, he just screams at you, and then you don't help him.
Exactly. And then I never get that help ever again. And then I wonder why nobody's helping me. I'm trying to fix that.
You are older now. You're wiser now.
I am. I know. I'm doing a lot of things.
So while we're alive on this, you're gonna come back to PWX?
Oh, see, there are so much bigger things out there that I'm doing, Caleb Konley. I mean, this podcast on iTunes. I mean, I got iTunes.
Cool.
What do I need PWX for? I got iTunes now.
All right.
I got them in my back pocket.
Thought
right
I'd
now.
throw that out there.
I'm one of the hundreds of wrestlers that have a podcast now, but I'm not doing a wrestling podcast, so I think that's my cop out.
Are you going to have Ken on here? Our buddy Ken Tusio.
Well, see, the thing is, this whole thing is listen to this name, stranger in a southern land. So I'm profiling people that do interesting things
in a southern land.
In the South, basically. Either you're from the South, you live in the South, you work in the South, or you're from here and you're off doing other things. So that's kind of the idea of that, is to just connect everybody that's doing creative things. That's why I don't want it to be so wrestler driven. Like I had a magician on here, a musician, I got bands, I got people that run small businesses, restaurants, breweries, all kinds of things on here. And it's just connecting all these people that are doing interesting things. Because as you know from the times that we did PWX together, trying to promote and make connections with people who are doing stuff in the entertainment things, or people that would go out and see a live act. It's hard to connect and make that. So hopefully this podcast is the epicenter for that, of letting people know about people who are doing cool and interesting things in the South.
So it works out.
So with our buddy Ken living in Connecticut, I don't think I can justify it being in.
That's true.
In my athletic conference or my NFL division.
Well, maybe you guys can play each other in the podcast Super Bowl.
Yeah, so that was the only way that we'd ever meet or face each other was this podcast Super Bowl. So it's not going to work out that way. Well, I appreciate you coming on. This is the time where you put your plugs in for everything that you're doing these days.
Me and my buddy Zane Riley are trying to film a movie. It's called Zane and Caleb Put Over the Movie. We've had episodes of our web series on the High Spots YouTube channel. They're moderately funny. They're okay. They're not the greatest. I'm just being honest with you. There's that. I'm a wrestler. I wrestle for Evolve. I do it in China as well as America. There's PWX that's local in the Charlotte, Winston-Salem area. CZW that's in Philadelphia. You can watch it live on streamczw.com. Is that it?
Yeah, and you can go to highspots.tv as well.
Highspots.tv.
For the internet pay-per-views as well.
So there's that. You can watch the Evolve stuff. You can watch my matches in China on wwnlive.com. They're pretty cool. You get to see Chinese wrestling, Americans doing Chinese wrestling.
In front of Chinese people.
In front of Chinese people. It's pretty awesome. That's what I'm doing. Trying to make this movie. Zane's coming over here now. We're going to try to film some stuff.
All right. Social media?
Social media, at Caleb Konley, Twitter, Instagram. That's what you need to know. Just come follow me. Talk about dumb stuff.
And don't forget to mention highspots.com.
Highspots.com, or I will be murdered because this is also a police state.
Exactly. Probably. I think they're probably going to be the sponsor of this episode.
So
they may or may not know that or not. But I just may just do that just to make sure it's out there in front. So
I work here at highspots.com, and if I don't make enough knee pads during the day, I get tasered.
Yes.
And I probably owe my firstborn child to High Spots.
Yes.
They
have to learn how to make knee pads and kick pads.
It's probably in my contract somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely for sure. So we definitely need to get that in because that company allows us to be idiots and come in sweatpants and not shave. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thanks, bud. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, and best of luck to the future. And just maybe if you go to tour Russia, we'll have you back on here.
Sweet. I'm coming for you, Russia.
Hit all the communist countries.